Lewton in Toyland, a Hogswatch Eve fable. 'Twas clear Hogswatch Eve in the city of Ank. You can't tell in Morpok, it's too dark and dank. And families were sitting on sausage to sup, but not me, with his stiff that I'd just found, cut up. My leads had run dry in a toy smuggling case, so I'd paid some punk stoolie to meet me at this place. The market was flooding with contraband toys, all sent free of charge to the good girls and boys. And this didn't bring joy to the guild of toy makers, or their partners in money, the Hogswatch treat bakers. And much as they'd love to just send in their brutes, they didn't yet know who was all in cahoots, and they wanted to bring down the whole free toy ring, so they'd paid me to set up the ultimate sting. I checked all the presents, the cookies, the sweets. I asked in the toy shops, I asked in the streets, but no one was talking. They'd been put to scare, except for this wino. He was too drunk to care. But now, long bled out, he was cold as my case. I checked all his pockets, but found nothing to trace. And turning my eyes to the night sky in despair, I saw a quick flicker. Somebody'd been there. I leapt up right quick on the crumbling wall and saw masked men fleeing, one short and one tall. I tailed them back to a cheery lit place where they knocked, gave a password, and uncovered their face. As yet unseen, I sidled up to the holly and blanched as I saw him, disgustingly jolly. Under cloaks they wore sweaters, their hands all held mugs with Hogswatch-themed decor and fires and rugs. And up on the wall hung a Hogfather poster, and standing in front was the master of toasters. He called them to order with devious plan. Compelled by tradition, exposition began. "My friends," he hissed in sibilant cadence, "I see here reflected the new Hogswatch radiance. This year is the year, there's no more delay, before we scrub pure white this ugly old day." His eyes had gone vacant, his face looked entranced, his knuckles gone white, gripping mistletoe plants. "It stinks of the past," he spit out in a fury, "of druids and kings, and no decent curry. We've gotten a bit more civilized now, but our old filthy outmoded symbols live. How? It's children. Their young minds are warped by the past. They think about horns, blood, and boars," he said, aghast. "But we're here to change that," he crowed, eyes ablaze, and quickly turned upwards his mad, steely gaze. "Even dead can make change, and our resident ghast will be called Hogswatch future, not present or past." And surely enough, as I looked towards the ceiling, my nerves all afraid, mind spinning and reeling, a translucent spectre, his spectral wounds wrapped in festive ghost paper, called out, "Good evening, chaps. 'Tis season for goodness, for fairness, for manners, for cookies and gifts and brightly lit banners, but only for good kids." And here spectral spit frothed forth from his jowls and gleamed bright, backlit, with great ghostly sneaking and some help that was a helpy. He looked up, and I saw a gargoyle in the belfry. "We've been watching children, the good and the bad, and kept careful track of the year each one had. We'll give out the presents, the best we can get, to the nice ones, and word will get round, oh, I bet. We'll also write stories, we'll also sing songs of a friendly, rich, jolly old fat man, and long-standing images will soon enough clear away of a mean, bloody, drunk old geezer on a sleigh. And children's belief is no tiny thing to a thing like the hog fodder. Soon this will bring on a new era with a real good reward for good deeds and manners. Why, an entire horde of presents will shower right down on the suite. But if kids remain bad, they won't get one treat. And heaped in that warehouse, they had a big heap. Toys, dolls, and balls, cookies, and wind-up sheep. They even imported, really quite sorry, this year's big new toy, Tickle Me Veterinary. And speaking aloud with his hands in the air, and walking from podium quite slow down the stair, their leader did speak. To top out this season is one more big job. Glib and glob did the recon. And here he put hands on the shoulders of two grimy, grinning, gross gapers. They're both known to you. One tall and one short, one little, one big. And these, said the man, get to carve up the pig. Their eyes were all gleaming, their hearts thought of feast. But first, said the leader, we stamp out the beast. We know of an orphanage on West Earl Street, with the kindliest children, said our ghost, you could meet. They help with the dishes, they share all their food. They speak just when spoken to, they never are rude. Their eyes big and gleaming, their legs are all lame. Their parents all perished, their hearts all in pain. And these, cried their captain, the poorest of poor, never got much for Hogswatch ever before. We'll pour out our stockpiles, we'll empty our stores, and the honor of doing this, plainly, is yours. The lackeys looked nervous, the watch was about. Murder was one thing. They'd not be found out in some dark old back alley deep inside the shades. But this place was on main streets, passed by on parades, and their hearts, quite 3 sizes too small, were aflutter, and they tried to demur, but before they could stutter some pithy excuse, their leader's hands clamped on each of their shoulders till their eyes grew damp, and he said, I'll go with you, I just can't miss out. And he laughed, and he winked, and he led them about, going over their plans of nighttime infiltration, and planning the plans down. Without hesitation, I dropped from the window and took off that night, and thought to myself about how wrong and right can get so twisted thoroughly in our big town, that a man, or a ghost, doesn't know up from down. How wrong would it be, I thought hard with my brain, if good was rewarded and bad just brought pain? If a child who was kindly had reason to boast, and knew in his heart that past Hogswatch Eve roast, he'd wake up to presents quite unlike the bad, and revel in all of the largesse that he had. Why not have a system where justice could prosper? Why not let the children strive for the good roster? I'd certainly never seen goodness prevail. My life one long call. Strive for good? Well, you'll fail. So later on in that twinkling night, when 3 figures extinguished the cheery street light and slid noiselessly into that children's home, not a mouse peeped from slumber, not a wink or a groan from the children was heard as they crept to the back and silently emptied their present-filled sack, and smiling, relief edged clean on their brows, they turned to escape, when a cry rang out, Now! The blankets were flung from the cots in a flash, and no orphans were there but dwarves ready to thrash. I pondered their plan till my ponderer was sore, and pondered it still with my back to the door. But I thought on my walk, thinking thoughts long vacated, what I'd learned as a child. Fair was way overrated. If just being nice was rewarded so well, then children would turn up washed out and pastel. Good isn't the same as toadying up. We make our own futures. we become grown up. At least, counting money, I was comforted thusly. The lunatic and his 2 mooks were too rusty to notice me telling the Dwarf Makers Union, who'd taken me with them, 20 dwarves and a human. They'd brought all their weapons, their eyes were agleam, the 3 plotters' chances were whipped whipping cream. And I heard them exclaim as I barred the front door, "Not the hammer! Ah, my arm! Please, no more!" So the present's still costly, the bad rich kids safe. One more dream lies in the gutter, a waif. It wasn't too pretty, this whole Hogswatch season, and I and the toy makers alone knew the reason. As an eye in my trench coat, a finger of bourbon, living a life unpleasant but urban, had settled right down for a Hogswatch night's sleep, a hard-boiled man with my rented room cheap. My mind thought at last as my vision grew swirled, "Merry Hogswatch, Ankh-Morpork, you small bitter world." Merry Hogswatch, everybody.